Trump signing an executive order this afternoon. He wants to rename the Department of Defense. What he wants the name to be and who still has to give it the final approval before it becomes official.
Every child who goes to camp should come home to their families. No parent should ever have to outlive their child or endure this kind of loss.
Also, it has been 2 months since flooding in Texas left several dead. The governor is signing new legislation which is aimed at preventing another tragedy like this from ever happening again. And the Trump administration is canceling a rule that would have given travelers some relief. We're going to tell you what travelers need to know. Welcome into WTOL 11 Plus now, Toledo's only local live, full 30-minute exclusively streaming newscast only on WTOL 11 Plus. I'm Jeff Smith. It has been 11 years since Toledo's water crisis changed the way that we look at algal blooms in Lake Erie. Now, more than a decade later, a multi-million-dollar project at the University of Toledo aims to tackle another impact of toxic algae. Jack Crum has more on a study that looks at how toxic algal bloom particles in the air impact people over time.
We've seen what toxic algal bloom can do to our drinking water. Now, this multi-year study at the University of Toledo is looking into the potential impacts to the air, especially for those with pre-existing conditions like asthma.
This study is extremely important because we know the toxins that are released from the harmful algal blooms can become aerosolized, so there's the potential to breathe them in, but we do not know what the human health implications of that are.
It's part of a 5-year, $6.5 million study called the Great Lakes Aerosol Monitoring Project.
But we want to find out who actually is responsible for why, someone might feel sick after having a harmful algal bloom exposure.
Dr. David Kennedy is the co-founder.
We need to follow people who have these exposures, who may live, work, or recreate around harmful algal blooms, and then try to understand what is it that they're experiencing. And take some actual measurements.
The measurements come from 4 separate non-invasive lung functionality tests. Tests so easy, anybody can do them.
And then do a controlled exhale to keep the cloud in the middle of the screen until she gets to the little checkered flag. Just a little harder. There you go.
Dr. Stephen Haller is the principal investigator of the study. He says although it began last year, there's only been 30 volunteers of the 200 available spots. And more volunteers means casting a wider net for information collection.
We're looking for volunteers just to keep the study going and so that we can answer these important questions for the community, is that if you are exposed to these aerosols, does it have any effect on your lung function?
We're here in September, and once again, end of the season, we're talking about algal blooms and the issues out on Lake Erie. And Jack, this story, for so many years, going back to 2014 when we were dealing with the do not drink order, which scared the living you-know-what out of all of us for 3 days in August. Here we are in September. We're shifting in your story from a concern of the water to a concern of the air?
Right, so it's not necessarily what you're drinking, it's what you're breathing in. And in particular, that's what this study is looking at, is it's looking at these toxic particles, if they affect you, and if they do, how exactly do they impact your health? So they're looking at this over about a 5-year span.
One of the things that you talked about in the story, you talked about people being involved. And we hear that time and time again, the civically engaged that come to meetings in their neighborhood, or people. This is a different animal because what are they specifically, and I know we talked about it in the story a little bit, but specifically, what do they need people to do along the coastline?
Right, so they're looking for Sandusky, they're looking for Lucas County, and they're looking for
Ottawa County
as well, yes. And pretty much what they're looking at is they just want to take pretty much like breath tests, if you will, and kind of assess if they are seeing impacts from those particles on their health in that way. So they're looking for people who are close by the water, who are impacted by it, who breathe in that air every day, and just kind of looking at it over a wide span.
What was your feeling from them as far as the seriousness, the gravity of this, and just the fact that This has become part of our fabric. We have algal blooms every year, right? But now all of a sudden they're saying there's something bubbling up into the air.
Right, and pretty much what they said is we're not the only ones who are seeing increases of this as well, right? This is becoming a worldwide thing. So their main point was, depending on what they find out of this study, which is a first of a kind study, it could impact health worldwide on how HABs, on how those algal blooms are handled.
Yeah, all right. The toxins in Lake Erie continues to be a conversation. Jack, thanks so much.
Thank you.
We are tracking the stories making headlines across the world and the country right now. President Trump signing an executive order renaming the Department of Defense to the Department of War. The president can't technically change the name of the department. That can only be done by Congress, but the order adds a secondary name so that the administration can start calling it the Department of War. Administration officials say Department of War better reflects the mission of the military, and it sends a message of deterrence to America's enemies.
If you look at what's going on in the world with health, and look at this country also with regard to health, I like the fact that he's different.
The president praising his Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. after yesterday's Senate hearing. The president acknowledged that he did not watch the hearing, but is on his side. During the 3-hour hearing, Secretary Kennedy Jr. he clashed with lawmakers from both sides of the aisle. The White House and Secretary Kennedy have also defended the decision to fire CDC Director Susan Menarez and denied her account of why she was ousted. It has been 2 months since a devastating flood killed campers and counselors at a girls' camp in Texas. And today, Texas's Governor Greg Abbott signing legislation to help prevent future tragedies. The legislation is called the Heavens 27 Camp Safety Act, which honors the 27 people who died at the Camp Mystic. The bill aims to address gaps in disaster preparedness by improving camp safety and streamlining the emergency response. Camps must also have emergency rooftop ladders in every cabin in a 100-year floodplain. The Trump administration is planning to drop proposed Biden-era rules on compensating customers for disrupted flights. Former President Biden and former Transportation Department Secretary Pete Buttigieg, they originally proposed the rule in 2023. The idea was to require air carriers to provide essential services and compensation to passengers after a canceled or delayed flight in the U.S. due to circumstances within the airline's control. A Transportation Department spokesperson said some of the Biden administration's proposed rules went beyond what Congress has required. It has been 80 years since the end of World War II, and coming up after the break, we're going to introduce you to a 101-year-old veteran as he shares his memories of piloting bombers during the war. His story is coming up. And talk about an unbelievable catch. A 13-year-old may have just broken a world record. What he ended up reeling in while he was out on a deep-sea fishing expedition.
And cooler feeling temperatures expected for your weekend. You may need the light jacket. Highs only reaching the upper 60s. I'll have that full 10-day weather outlook coming up next.
Well, if you're watching us at WTOL 11 Plus, you already know about our exclusive streaming platform. But do you know, or do you follow WTOL 11 on social media? Right now, there is video that you have to see on our TikTok page. Meteorologist Kaylee Bowers, she breaks down when we can expect to see the leaves start changing.
Are you ready for the leaves to start changing? Because fall is on its way. Looking at the map for today, September 4th, the entire country still seeing those green leaves. But just a week later, September 11th, a few areas in the Northwest and those Rockies starting to see a little bit of change of color. And then by September 18th, right along the Rockies, some moderate to high level, we're getting to that peak color soon. And by the end of September, you can see that peak color right along the US-Canada border into the Rockies, looking beautiful in some areas already. And really starting to see things change for the beginning of October from parts of New England, the US-Canada border, the Rockies, seeing that high, if not finally, peak coloring. And just a week later, that color continues to shift south into parts of New England, the Midwest, the Northern Plains, the Rockies, the Pacific Northwest, starting to see that peak coloring. And by the middle of October, more states really seeing those bright colors, those oranges and those reds, looking beautiful for the middle of October. And some states by October 23rd starting to see those leaves turn brown, if not fall off of the trees, but some places seeing peak coloring, others just starting to see a little bit of those vibrant colors. And right around Halloween, just depends on where you are. Some places seeing brown leaves, others seeing those bright oranges and reds, others still seeing green on the trees. And looking ahead towards the beginning of November, from New England, the Midwest, the Central Plains, the Rockies, the Pacific Northwest, done with those bright, vibrant colors. But the further south you are, starting to see some beautiful coloring. You can see just a little bit of a change from the beginning of November to the middle of November. The further south you are, starting to see some of that peak coloring. And this continues to shift south, just right along the southeast, the Gulf states, and the Southwest, seeing some of those vibrant colors. And right around Thanksgiving, most of the country pretty much done with the changing of the leaves for the 2025 season. But let me know, are you planning on traveling to see some of these vibrant colors, or are you going to wait until they change in your own backyard?
Make sure to follow us on our WTOL 11 TikTok page. There's plenty to watch, including the latest stories that are being talked about both locally and nationally. A young fisherman is reeling in a little more than just bragging rights tonight after nabbing the catch of a lifetime. At just 120 pounds, we're talking about the kid, 13-year-old Jackson Denio, he managed to get his hooks into a 177-pound halibut. That's a lot of good eating. It happened while he was out on a deep-sea fishing trip off the coast of New England on Sunday with about 30 other people. Holy cow. Jackson says he fought the monster for more than 30 minutes, guided by the crew. The International Fish and Gaming Association is now working to determine if Jackson's catch will go into the record books. Holy cannoli.
Certainly goes in the record books as the biggest catch by a 13-year-old.
I would love to see, comparably speaking, what the rest of the people on the boat were catching at that point. Right?
Yeah, that'd be funny if the little guy got the biggest catch of the day.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised.
They're reeling in some sunfish, you know, a couple of things here and there, and then all of a sudden,
I think I got something.
Yeah, whatever, kid.
Yeah, more than just a little bite.
So we saw the, we were talking about the fall foliage and the colors changing. I have noticed in my own backyard some of the leaves actually starting to change hue a little bit, and I'm assuming it's because we had some of those cool mornings.
Yeah, and the other thing to keep in mind is the impacts of the drought on the potential fall foliage, because sometimes, Jeff, when we're deficient in rainfall this time of year, it means less vibrancy in those colors. So hopefully we still get some beautiful colors, but we'll continue to track the drought as those conditions evolve. Let's get your forecast, because it is going to be a dry weekend, and we are watching drought conditions unfolding through the middle of September, although the big story for the weekend is simply going to be the cooler feel. High temperatures only reaching the upper 60s. Partly sunny and dry weather is expected. Not a drop of rain for that weekend forecast. And that last-minute high school football forecast this evening is going to be a little cooler by the fourth quarter, with temperatures easing back into the lower 60s. Temperatures early on in the evening have been in the 70s across some areas, especially south and east of the Maumee River, where it's a bit milder, and west of town it is turning cooler. Williams County is down to the mid-60s as a cold front sweeps through the region. You can expect a drop in those temperatures overnight. There was a little band of clouds that moved in with that front, although the clouds are starting to fade away as more sunshine sunshine returns. Now, the latest on those drought conditions, it is particularly areas south of the Maumee River and southwest of Toledo that really need the rainfall the most as we have moderate drought conditions unfolding. That brown color on our weather map from southern Lucas through Wood and Hancock counties back into Henry, Defiance, and Putnam counties. That is where that moderate drought is prevailing, and oftentimes the lack of rainfall during late August and September can mean a less vibrant fall color season. Here's the cold front that brought us that gusty breeze today. That is now moving off into the eastern half of the state. There are going to be rain chances for folks in West Virginia and Pennsylvania, but unfortunately that opportunity has already passed. Just not enough humidity in the air as that cold front moved through. Temperatures tomorrow morning are going to be around 50 degrees, so a bit of that September chill at the Toledo Farmers Market. And into the afternoon, we do have a day that is going to be filled with partly sunny skies and a fairly comfortable feel, but you may need the light jacket as you're heading out. That Black Swamp Arts Festival forecast in downtown BG is going to be partly sunny and dry. Always a little bit of a breeze there with 10 to 20 mile an hour winds expected in Bowling Green. The full weekend forecast, temperatures at 68 both weekend days, partly sunny with a slightly cooler feel. Sunday morning in particular is going to be on the cooler side with those lows only in the mid 40s. That breezy setting is going to gradually diminish after dark, so the winds are going to calm down after sunset. It is going to be a cooler and dry weekend with those temps only in the 60s. And if you are looking forward to a warm up by the middle of the month, we are expecting a pattern change that'll usher in a warmer weather pattern. Temperatures climbing to the 80s, but unfortunately this weather pattern is also going to be relatively devoid of any meaningful rainfall. Dry weather for the weekend, more sunshine returning early next week as high temperatures rebound to the 70s. We do have a very mild day Wednesday with highs at 81, and the tail end of the forecast, an abundance of sunshine and dry weather is expected. And if you're already looking ahead towards next weekend, we have high temperatures climbing back into the 80s, and through the middle of the month, bone dry conditions with those drought conditions likely to continue. Jeff.
John, thanks. This week, the U.S. celebrated the official end of World War II. Our sister station in Texas introduced, or the anniversary, I should say, of the end of World War II. Our sister station in Texas introduces us to a 101-year-old veteran who recalls piloting bombers during the war.
In a historic moment marking the end of World War II, Japanese officials signed the formal instrument of surrender aboard the USS Missouri on September 2, 1945. 16 million American men and women served during the war. Today, only about 60,000 World War II veterans are still with us, including one Austin man who I had the pleasure of meeting earlier this year. 100 years of memories line the walls of Lou Griffith's house near Austin.
This is the bomb group I was in.
Lou turned 101 years old a few months ago, and many of those memories come from a time when Lou risked his life to defend his country.
We interrupt this program to bring you a special news bulletin. The Japanese have attacked Pearl Harbor, Hawaii by air, President Roosevelt has just announced.
On that December 7, 1941 day, Lou hadn't yet heard about the attack.
We were out there playing sandlot football, and a lady came running out there. How dare you out here playing when we're at war? What?
Like so many Americans, Lou volunteered for military service during World War II. He flew 42 missions piloting a B-25 bomber 5,000 miles away from his Texas home.
We're medium bombers. We don't do carpet bombing like the heavies did. And our job mainly was to keep the Germans from resupplying their Afrika Korps, which was then in Italy.
After the war, his life in the military faded into the background as he married and earned an engineering degree from the University of Texas. One more thing about Lou Griffith. He still lives on his own and drives his minivan to run errands. So you may be wondering, how does Lou remain so healthy at age 101?
It's real easy. Just pick folks with good genes.
Having a good sense of humor probably helps, too.
To come after months of construction, Broadway Street is finally back open. Businesses were impacted, and tonight we're checking back in with them now that the road is reopened. Plus, Lucas County Canine Care and Control will soon be moving into its new facility. This one on Monroe Street. We'll tell you when the grand opening is set for.
It's good for my health and good for my mind.
And an inspiring story to our north in Michigan, where one man continues to show off his skills at 91. Those stories and more just after the break. Glad you're here with us for WTOL 11 Plus. Now we are breaking down your top stories tonight. Toledo is reintroducing Broadway Street after more than a year of construction. Businesses say they're glad to see it back open, but they're still recovering from lost business. The owner of La Paloma Pastries says he knows customers would stop coming just to avoid the traffic. He says now that the street is back open, they're starting to see the regulars come back. The owner says he is grateful for the grants that the city gave out to help with expenses, but that money barely covered, he says, the costs that the shop had to take on. He also says one of the biggest difficulties the shop had was getting orders in.
A lot of places were not delivered to us because of construction, and our alley, they said they couldn't make it in because it's too narrow. So we had one place I couldn't deliver for, it's been 6 months, and I just started getting my deliveries from them. So we had to find a lot of other ways to get our supplies, which meant paying more, and raises the prices on everything.
The city says the project was designed to balance the needs of businesses and drivers with those of people walking and biking. And they believe the final design provides good access for customers and a safer environment. We're learning when the new Lucas County Canine Care and Control Facility will be opening to the public. County commissioners announced today that the dog shelter will open on October 4th. The brand new facility is at the corner of Monroe and 14th. During the moving period from September 29th through October 3rd, LC4 will be closed to the public. The county first broke ground on the new facility nearly 2 years ago. We've got plenty of streaming programs here on WTOL 11 Plus. On this week's episode of The Leaderboard, with NFL action getting started this week, our team on WTOL 11 Plus's leaderboard ranked the top 11 Toledo Rockets currently playing in the NFL. Here's a sneak peek.
Number 9 is cornerback Samuel Womack. He was drafted in round 5 of the 2022 NFL Draft by the San Francisco 49ers. The former first-team All-MAC athlete played the past 2 seasons for the Indianapolis Colts before being claimed on waivers by the Tennessee Titans last week. Number 8 is defensive end Desjuan Johnson. The 3-time All-MAC star was drafted with the very last pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, also known as Mr. Irrelevant, by the Los Angeles Rams. He has stuck on the roster since and has tallied 3 NFL sacks so far.
At number 7 is defensive tackle Darius Alexander, a guy who shot up draft boards this offseason. Alexander has yet to play in a regular season NFL game yet, but will look to make an impact with the New York Giants after getting drafted in the 3rd round. Number 6 is Toledo native and safety Tyson Anderson. The St. John's Jesuit grad is heading into his 4th season with the Cincinnati Bengals. He's been with the team since they drafted him in the 5th round of the 2022 draft.
Number 5, another Toledo native, offensive lineman Storm Norton. The Whitmer graduate was a first-team All-MAC player in both 2015 and 2016. He entered the NFL draft as an undrafted free agent in 2017 and quickly became a reliable swing tackle. He's appeared in 67 games with 22 starts, and he's currently with the Atlanta Falcons. Number 4 is fullback Reggie Gilliam, a walk-on who shined at Toledo from 2016 to 2019. Gilliam became a standout on special teams and offense. Since going undrafted in 2020, he's become a key contributor for the Buffalo Bills.
And at number 3 is cornerback Quinyon Mitchell, a 2-time first-team All-MAC performer. Mitchell was selected 22nd overall by the Eagles in the 2024 NFL Draft. He became a starter from day one and earned all-rookie honors last season, along with, of course, winning a Super Bowl championship. Number 2 is wide receiver Deontay Johnson, a 2-time first-team All-MAC standout in 2017 and 2018. Johnson proved a human highlight reel for the Rockets, drafted in the 3rd round of the 2019 draft. He's caught more than 400 passes for more than 4,700 yards and 28 scores. He was named to the Pro Bowl in 2021 and was a second-team All-Pro in 2019.
Number 1 is running back Kareem Hunt. The Rockets' all-time leading rusher, Hunt dominated in 2016 with more than 1,600 rushing yards. Drafted in round 3 in 2017, he took off as a rookie, leading the NFL in rushing and earning Pro Bowl and all-rookie honors. He has since won a pair of Super Bowls with the Chiefs, running for more than 5,100 yards and 45 touchdowns as a pro.
Well, there you have it, our list of the top 11 Toledo Rockets currently active in the NFL. And with the season kicking off this week, it'll be fun to see who can make the biggest impact in the league this season.
For our team's full list, plus an interview with Whitmer grad and current NFL coach Kevin Koger, watch the leaderboard. You can stream it on WTOL 11 Plus right after the show. Inspiring story out of Michigan tonight. A 91-year-old is proving that age is just a number. For 70 years, he has been lacing up his skates and taking to the ice. Lenny Trusowitz, he says a life of clean living has kept him sharp and in shape to play. From post-game meetups to a few battle scars along the way, Lenny says hockey keeps his body moving and his spirit strong.
Being active, it's good for my health. I meet new people every year. If you're sitting at home, the circle shrinks because they pass on.
This is right outside of the Detroit area. His teammates say Lenny isn't just another player, he's a hero to all of them. Cool to see, John.
Still moving around on the ice pretty well there at 91.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Skating your bag?
No, I took skating lessons as a kid, wiped out a lot. Yeah, got very cold as well.
I'm right there with you. Let's talk about the forecast heading into the weekend. And it was interesting in the early shows tonight. We were talking about very different weekends the next two.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to feel more like fall this weekend, summer next weekend. Temperatures are only going to be in the upper 60s both Saturday and Sunday. That breeze gradually diminishing after dark tonight, so the winds aren't going to be quite as gusty over the weekend. Temperatures climb to the 70s early next week with lots of sunshine. A quiet weather pattern is expected. Those moderate drought conditions are likely to either be maintained or potentially even get a little worse in the next couple of weeks. And a very different weekend on tap for next Saturday and Sunday. Looking ahead to some temperatures in the 80s, and a reminder that summer not quite done just yet. September often does bring a warm up, and it looks like that's going to deliver into next weekend, Jeff.
Thanks for spending part of your day with us here on WTOL 11 Plus. Remember, this is your home for more than just news. You can stream our full lineup